Mary thought she was in control of everything. Her marriage, her children, even her divorce. She left John for the charismatic Ryan, considering him a boring dad who would give up without a fight. But when Mary received the court letter, her world fell apart. John wasn't just fighting for the children. He had gathered evidence of her betrayal and manipulation. She thought she would win this game, but John had already made a move that would change everything. John Garcia sat at the kitchen table, scribbling a solution to a fraction problem on a notepad while his daughter Sophia, 10, squinted at her math homework. Her pencil tapped rhythmically, betraying her frustration. Across the table, 12-year-old Lucas sketched a superhero in his notebook, chuckling at John's quip about capes being impractical in Miami's heat. The air buzzed with the quiet comfort of routine until the front door clicked open. Mary strode in, phone in hand, her thumbs swiping through notifications. Without looking up, she dropped her keys on the counter and said, "The kids are coming with me and Ryan. They like him better." Sophia's pencil froze mid-tap. Lucas's pen stilled, his superhero half-drawn. John didn't flinch, just capped his marker and slid the notepad toward Sophia. "Check your answer," he said calmly, his voice steady but his eyes locking onto Mary's distracted frame. She didn't notice the shift in his gaze, too absorbed in her screen. "Ryan's taking us to Key West this weekend," she continued, voice clipped, like she was confirming a delivery order. "They're excited. Right, kids?" Lucas glanced at John, then down at his sketch. Sophia pressed her lips together, saying nothing. John leaned back, folding his arms. "Key West, huh? When were you planning to tell me?" Mary finally looked up, her thumb pausing. "I'm telling you now. It's not a big deal." Her tone carried the casual arrogance of someone used to getting her way. John nodded once, slow, deliberate. "Good to know." He stood, collected the dishes, and began rinsing them in the sink. Mary frowned, expecting a fight, an outburst, anything to fuel her narrative of him as the overbearing ex. Instead, he dried his hands and asked, "Anything else?" Her silence lingered a beat too long. "No," she said, turning back to her phone. "Just be ready to pack their bags by Friday." She walked out, leaving the kids staring at their homework. John knelt beside Sophia. "You okay with fractions now?" She nodded, but her eyes darted toward the door Mary had exited. Lucas muttered, "Ryan's not that cool." John ruffled his hair. "Finish that superhero. He needs a better cape." Later that night, John sat alone in his study, a small room with a desk and a single lamp. He opened a laptop and pulled up a folder labeled Notes. Inside were timestamps. March 12th, 6:47 p.m. Mary tells Lucas not to mention Ryan's late-night calls. March 15th, 8:03 a.m. Sophia says Ryan yelled at her for spilling juice. He added a new entry. March 20th, 7:12 p.m. Mary announces Key West trip, no prior discussion. Each line was precise, clinical, a record of cracks forming in Mary's carefully curated image. The next morning, John drove the kids to school, weaving through Miami's palm-lined streets. Sophia fiddled with her backpack strap, quiet. Lucas broke the silence. "Do we have to go with Ryan?" John kept his eyes on the road. "You don't have to do anything you don't want. Tell me what's up." Sophia hesitated, then whispered, "He gets mad when I don't call him Dad." John's grip tightened on the wheel, but his voice stayed even. "You've got one dad. That's me. If Ryan pushes, you tell him that." Lucas nodded, relieved, but Sophia's frown deepened. At a red light, John texted Elena Torres, a family law attorney he'd met at a school fundraiser. "Need to meet. Urgent." Her reply came fast. "Tomorrow, 8 a.m., my office." John pocketed his phone as the light turned green. He wasn't angry. Anger was a luxury he couldn't afford. Instead, he was calculating, piecing together a strategy. Mary thought she'd won by rewriting their story, casting him as the dull, checked-out father. But John had been listening, watching, waiting. That evening, Mary hosted a barbecue for neighbors, Ryan at her side, handing out craft beers and flashing a grin that screamed networking event. John arrived to drop off Lucas's soccer gear, catching Mary's loud declaration to a neighbor. John's too busy with work to care about the kids' lives. Ryan's the one who shows up. The neighbor nodded, but her eyes flicked to John, who stood silently by the gate. He didn't correct Mary. Instead, he handed Lucas the gear, whispered, "Score one for me tomorrow," and left. Back home, John slipped a small recorder into his pocket. He tested it, capturing the hum of his fridge. Clear audio, 8-hour battery. He placed it in the kitchen vent the next morning before Mary picked up the kids. By noon, it caught her on speakerphone with Ryan. John won't fight. He's too predictable. The kids will be ours by summer. Ryan's laugh crackled through. Good. Less baggage. John saved the file. March 21st, 11:34 a.m. Mary plans custody shift. The following day, John met Elena at her office, a sleek space overlooking downtown Miami. She scanned his notes, her pen tapping the desk. This is solid, but you need more. Courts want patterns, not one-offs. Keep recording, but stay legal. Only public spaces or your own property. John nodded, handing her a USB drive with the audio. There's more coming. Elena leaned forward. You're not just fighting for custody. You're dismantling her narrative. Stay focused. That night, John sat with Sophia, helping her paint a poster for a school project. She hesitated, then said, Mom said you don't care about us anymore. John set down the brush, meeting her eyes. You know that's not true. I'm here every day, and I'm not going anywhere. Sophia hugged him, her small arms tight. Lucas peeked in, holding his sketchbook. Can I show you my new hero? John smiled. Only if he's tougher than me. As the kids slept, John reviewed his growing archive. Every word Mary spoke, every lie she spun, was another brick in the case he was building. She thought she was orchestrating a flawless exit, but John was already 3 moves ahead. The game wasn't over. It was just beginning. John Garcia parked his SUV outside Norwood Elementary, scanning the schoolyard where Sophia and Lucas kicked a soccer ball during recess. His phone buzzed with a text from Mary, taking kids to Ryan's beach condo this weekend. Don't make it weird. He didn't respond, instead slipping a recorder into the car center console before stepping out to meet the kids. Lucas spotted him first, sprinting over with a grin. Dad, I scored in practice. John high-fived him. That's my striker. Sophia trailed behind, her smile fading as she glanced at her phone. Mom says we're leaving early tomorrow. John nodded, keeping his tone light. We'll talk about it at home. Back at the house, John grilled burgers while Lucas recounted his game, but Sophia stayed quiet, picking at her food. After dinner, John sat her down. What's on your mind? She fidgeted, then mumbled, Ryan said I should call him Dad again. Mom didn't stop him. John's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice calm. You tell him what you told me. One dad's enough. Sophia nodded, but her eyes held doubt. John added a note to his file. March 24th, 6:52 p.m. Ryan pressures Sophia on family roles. The next morning, John drove to a coffee shop across town, meeting Elena Torres at a corner table. She flipped through his latest USB drive of recordings, her expression sharp. This is good, John. Courts hate parental alienation, but you need witnesses, not just audio. He slid over a list of names. The school coach, a neighbor, Lucas's art teacher. They've seen Mary push Ryan as the better parent. Coach caught Ryan snapping at Lucas last week. Elena tapped her pen. Get statements. And keep the kids' trust. Don't let them know you're recording. John agreed, already planning his next move. That afternoon, Mary pulled up in her convertible, Ryan in the passenger seat, to pick up the kids. John handed over their bags, catching Ryan's smug nod. As they drove off, the recorder in the console captured Mary's voice. John's fine with it. He's too busy to care about weekends. Ryan chuckled. He's checked out. Kids don't need that. John saved the file. March 25th, 3:15 p.m. Mary dismisses my involvement. He emailed it to Elena, then called Coach Ramirez. Can we talk about Lucas's practice? Something's off. The coach agreed to meet, mentioning Ryan's short temper during drills. Sunday evening, the kids returned, quieter than usual. Lucas tossed his backpack on the couch, muttering, Ryan wouldn't let me play my game. Said it was dumb. Sophia added, he got mad when I asked to call you. John knelt beside them. You can always call me. Always. He noted the incident. March 26th, 7:03 p.m. Ryan restricts communication. Later, he slipped a recorder into Sophia's backpack, hidden in a side pocket, set to activate during their next trip. Monday, John met Coach Ramirez at the soccer field. The coach leaned against the bleachers, arms crossed. Ryan's been showing up uninvited, barking at Lucas to toughen up. Kids rattled. John handed him a form. Would you write that down for the school counselor? Ramirez nodded, signing on the spot. At pickup, John caught the art teacher, Ms. Vega, who mentioned Sophia's recent drawings, dark sketches of a man yelling. She didn't say who, Vega added, but she's been clingy with you. John thanked her, securing another statement. By Tuesday, Mary escalated. She texted John a formal letter, CCNG Ryan, demanding he agree to a new custody split favoring her. The kids thrive with Ryan. You're too rigid. John forwarded it to Elena, who replied, this is gold. Keep pushing her to overplay her hand. That night, he sat with Lucas, helping him sketch a new comic villain. Lucas hesitated, then said, Mom told me not to tell you about Ryan's new house. They want to move there. John kept his face neutral. Where? Lucas shrugged. Someplace far. John noted it. March 28th, 8:14 p.m. Mary plans relocation. Hides it. Wednesday brought a surprise. John's phone rang. Rosa, Mary's mother, calling from her Key West condo. John, I heard about the trip. Mary didn't tell you, did she? John confirmed, keeping his tone even. Rosa sighed. She's been lying to me too. Said you don't show up for the kids. I know better. John seized the moment. Would you tell a judge that? A pause. Then Rosa's firm reply. Yes. He sent her a link to submit a sworn statement. Heart racing. Rosa's support was a game changer. Thursday, the recorder in Sophia's backpack delivered. John retrieved it after school, uploading a clip of Mary and Ryan in the car. Don't tell your dad about the move, Mary said. He'll just make it complicated. Ryan added, he's not fun like us. You'll love the new place. Sophia's small voice replied, I like Dad's house. Mary snapped, you'll get used to it. John labeled the file. March 30th, for 22 p.m., Mary pushes relocation, dismisses Sophia's feelings. He sent it to Elena, who texted back, this is dynamite. Keep going. Friday, John took the kids to a Miami arcade, letting them rack up tickets while he watched for signs of strain. Sophia clung to his side, quieter than usual. Lucas, usually chatty, only spoke when prompted. John bought them ice cream, then asked, what's good about Ryan's place? Sophia shrugged. It's loud. He plays music all night. Lucas added, he told me to stop whining when I missed you. John hugged them both, then noted, March 31st, 6:45 p.m., Ryan creates hostile environment. That night, John met Elena again, this time at a diner near the courthouse. She reviewed his growing binder, recordings, statements, timestamps. You're building a fortress, she said. Mary's banking on charm, but courts want facts. One more push, and she'll trip. John nodded, his resolve hardening. Mary thought she was scripting a victory, but every lie she told, every secret she forced on the kids, was another nail in her case. John wasn't just fighting for custody. He was rewriting the story she thought she controlled. John Garcia sat in his SUV outside the courthouse, engine off, reviewing a text from Elena Torres. Bring the binder. Today's the day. He checked the rearview mirror, ensuring the kids were with his sister at her Miami apartment, safe from the storm about to break. His phone buzzed. Mary, demanding he drop his custody petition. You're embarrassing yourself, she wrote. John ignored it, grabbing his meticulously organized binder and stepping into the humid morning air. The courthouse loomed ahead, its glass doors reflecting his determined stride. Inside, Mary stood in the lobby, whispering to Ryan, who scrolled his phone with forced nonchalance. She spotted John, her lips curling into a smirk. No lawyer, John? Still playing the lone hero? He didn't respond, just walked past to check in with the bailiff. Moments later, Elena emerged from a side door, her briefcase packed with his evidence. Ready? She asked. John nodded, handing her the binder. Everything's there. She flipped through it, her eyes narrowing approvingly at the new additions. A statement from Rosa, Mary's mother, and a school counselor's report. The courtroom filled quickly. Mary sat with Ryan, her posture rigid, whispering instructions he barely acknowledged. John took his seat beside Elena, calm, his hands folded. The judge, a stern woman with glasses perched low, called the session to order. Elena stood first, presenting John's case with surgical precision. Your Honor, my client, John Garcia, seeks primary custody of Sophia and Lucas Garcia, supported by evidence of parental alienation and neglect by the respondent, Mary Wallace. She handed over the binder, its tabs labeled, recordings, witness statements, child welfare concerns. Mary's lawyer, a slick man named Carter, countered with a rehearsed narrative. Ms. Wallace is a devoted mother, fully engaged in her children's lives. Mr. Garcia is absent, overly focused on work. He gestured to Ryan. Her partner, Ryan, has stepped up as a positive influence. The judge's expression remained unreadable, but she motioned for Elena to proceed. Elena played the first recording. Mary's voice, sharp, telling Sophia, "Don't bother your dad with this. Ryan's the one who cares." The courtroom went silent. Ryan shifted, his phone now face down. Elena followed with a second clip. Ryan dismissing Lucas's request to call John during their Key West trip. "He's not your real family anymore," Ryan's voice echoed. Mary's face paled, her fingers gripping the table. Carter objected, claiming the recordings were out of context, but the judge overruled. "I'll decide relevance," she said, nodding for Elena to continue. Elena submitted Rosa's statement, read aloud. "My daughter has prioritized her relationship with Ryan over the children's stability. John has been their constant caregiver." Mary's head snapped toward the back of the room, where Rosa sat, eyes fixed forward, unwavering. The school counselor's report came next, detailing Sophia's anxiety and Lucas's withdrawal after weekends with Ryan. The children expressed discomfort with Mr. Ryan's behavior, Elena read, and consistently seek their father's support. Carter tried to pivot, calling Mary to testify. She took the stand, voice trembling with practiced emotion. "I only want what's best for my kids. John's too rigid, too distant." But her words faltered as Elena cross-examined, holding up a calendar of John's involvement. Every soccer game, every school pickup, every late-night homework session. John remained silent, letting the evidence speak. Elena closed with a final blow. A recording from Sophia's backpack, capturing Mary's plan to relocate without consulting John. "He'll just make it complicated," Mary's voice said, cold and dismissive. The judge's pen paused, her gaze sharpening. Mary's lawyer scrambled, arguing the move was hypothetical, but the damage was done. Ryan stood abruptly, muttering about a call, and slipped out of the courtroom. Mary's eyes followed him, her confidence cracking. The judge called a recess, leaving John and Elena in the hallway. "She's unraveling," Elena whispered. The judge seized the pattern. John nodded, checking his phone. Rosa had texted, "I'm here for the kids. Stay strong." He replied, "Thank you." Back in the courtroom, Mary sat alone, Ryan's seat empty. Carter tried to rally, presenting a neighbor's vague praise of Mary's parenting, but it felt hollow against John's documentation. The judge asked Mary directly, "Why didn't you inform Mr. Garcia of the relocation plan?" Mary stammered, "I was going to." The judge's silence was deafening. As closing arguments began, Elena leaned toward John. "You've got this. She didn't see you coming." John exhaled, his mind on Sophia and Lucas, waiting at his sisters, unaware their future was being decided. Mary's narrative, her carefully crafted image of the perfect mother, was collapsing under the weight of her own words, recorded and time-stamped. John hadn't raised his voice, hadn't lashed out. He'd built a case, brick by brick, and now the courtroom walls were closing in on Mary. John Garcia pulled into his sister's apartment complex, the Miami skyline glowing against the dusk. Sophia and Lucas waited on the steps, their backpacks slung over their shoulders. Lucas waved, but Sophia's gaze stayed fixed on the ground. John stepped out, kneeling to meet her eyes. "You okay, kiddo?" She nodded faintly, then hugged him, her grip tight. Lucas joined, mumbling, "Is it over?" John ruffled his hair. "Yeah, it's over. Let's go home." They climbed into the SUV, leaving the courthouse drama behind. At home, John unpacked their bags while the kids settled on the couch, flipping through a comic book. His phone pinged. Elena's text, "Judge ruled in your favor. Primary custody granted. Visitation hearing next month." John exhaled, the weight of months of planning lifting slightly. He didn't tell the kids yet, letting them decompress. Instead, he ordered pizza, their favorite, and set up a board game. Lucas laughed as Sophia outmaneuvered him, the first real ease John had seen in weeks. Across town, Mary sat in her condo, the silence oppressive. She dialed Ryan's number for the third time, but it went straight to voicemail. His last text, sent during the courtroom recess, read, "This is too much. I'm out." She tossed her phone onto the counter, pacing to the window. The street below buzzed with evening traffic, indifferent to her unraveling world. She opened her laptop, scrolling through social media, where neighbors' posts hinted at whispers. Heard Mary lost the kids. Didn't see that coming. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, but no defense came. The next morning, John dropped Sophia and Lucas at school, where Coach Ramirez met him at the gate. Heard the news, he said, clapping John's shoulder. You did right by them. John nodded, handing him a thank-you note for his statement. At pickup, Ms. Vega, the art teacher, pulled John aside. Sophia is drawing brighter colors today. She mentioned you helping with her project. John smiled, filing the comment mentally. April 5th, 3:20 p.m. Sophia shows recovery signs. He was still documenting, not out of obsession, but to track their healing. Mary, meanwhile, drove to her mother Rosa's condo in Key West, unannounced. She knocked, clutching a coffee cup, her hands unsteady. Rosa opened the door, her expression neutral. Why didn't you warn me? Mary demanded, stepping inside. Rosa por te unmoved. I warned you years ago to stop rewriting the truth. You didn't listen. Mary's voice cracked. You took his side. Rosa set her cup down. I took the kid's side. You forgot them in your story. Mary left, her mother's words stinging. No reconciliation offered. Back in Miami, John met Elena at a diner to review the visitation terms. Mary gets supervised weekends for now, Elena said, sliding over the court order. She'll need counseling before expanding access. John nodded, his focus on stability for Sophia and Lucas. He'd already enrolled them in a summer art camp, and Lucas had a soccer tournament lined up. Elena leaned forward. You flipped her narrative. Cleanly. Most don't pull that off. John shrugged. I just showed the truth. Mary's condo grew quieter as days passed. Her phone, once alive with group chats, now held only work emails. She called her lawyer, Carter, demanding an appeal. It's a long shot, he warned. The evidence was airtight. She hung up, then texted a neighbor, fishing for sympathy. It's been rough. Can we talk? The reply was polite but curt. Busy this week. Sorry. Mary stared at the screen, realizing her audience had dwindled. At John's house, the kids adjusted to their new routine. Sophia asked to call her mom one evening, and John set up a supervised video call, per court rules. Mary's voice was strained, overly cheerful, promising a trip to the zoo. Sophia nodded politely, but ended the call early. Lucas whispered to John afterward, She didn't ask about my game. John hugged him. I'll be there cheering. Always. He noted the call. April 7th, 7:15 p.m., Mary avoids engaging with Lucas's interests. By Friday, Mary showed up at school unannounced, hoping to see the kids. The counselor, Mrs. Brennan, intercepted her. You need court approval for unscheduled visits, she said, handing Mary a form. Mary argued, voice rising, but Brennan stood firm. It's about the kids' stability. Mary left, her car idling in the lot as she watched Sophia and Lucas board John's SUV. Lucas waved, but Sophia looked away, her expression guarded. That night, John took the kids to a Miami Beach festival. They built a sandcastle, Lucas sculpting turrets while Sophia added shells. A passerby, an old neighbor, stopped to chat. You're killing it as a dad, she said. John smiled, deflecting. Just doing what I've always done. The neighbor glanced at the kids, then added, People are talking. Mary's not looking good in this. John didn't respond, but the comment confirmed what he'd sensed. The community was shifting, seeing through Mary's facade. Mary, alone in her condo, opened the court documents again, skimming the evidence that had undone her. The recordings, Rosa's statement, the counselor's reports, they painted a picture she couldn't spin. She drafted a text to John, an apology, but deleted it. Pride held her back. Instead, she booked a therapy session, her first, prompted by the court's mandate. The appointment card sat on her counter, a small step toward accountability, but no one was there to see it. John tucked the kids into bed, reading a chapter from Lucas's favorite comic. Sophia lingered, asking, Will Mom be okay? John paused, choosing his words. She's figuring things out. But you and Lucas are my priority. Sophia nodded, curling up under her blanket. John closed the door, then added one last note to his binder. April 8th, 9:32 p.m., Sophia expresses concern for Mary, showing empathy. The war wasn't over, but John had won the first battle, and the kids were safe in his corner. John Garcia stood on the sidelines of Lucas's soccer game, cheering as his son darted past defenders, the Miami sun blazing overhead. Sophia sat nearby, sketching in her notebook, her pencil dancing across the page. The referee's whistle signaled a goal, and Lucas pumped his fist, glancing at John for approval. John gave a thumbs up, his heart steady with purpose. The kids were thriving, their routine solid, their smiles genuine. His phone stayed silent. No text from Mary, no disruptions. He preferred it that way. Across town, Mary sat in a therapist's office, gripping a tissue, her first session underway. The therapist, Dr. Ellis, leaned forward, asking, "Why are you here?" Mary hesitated, then admitted, "I lost my kids. I thought I was winning, but I pushed them away." Her voice cracked, the weight of her choices sinking in. Dr. Ellis nodded, jotting notes. "Let's start with your role in their lives. What did you prioritize?" Mary stared at the floor, no answer ready, her usual confidence absent. At home, John helped Sophia with her art camp application, scanning her portfolio of vibrant drawings. Lucas sprawled on the couch, reading a soccer magazine, occasionally chiming in with camp suggestions. The doorbell rang, and John opened it to find Rosa, Mary's mother, holding a box of homemade empanadas. "For the kids," she said, stepping inside. Sophia hugged her, and Lucas grabbed an empanada, grinning. Rosa pulled John aside. "I'm proud of you. They're happy here." John nodded, grateful but guarded. "Thanks for standing by them." Rosa's eyes softened. "I always will." Mary's second therapy session brought a court-mandated report. Dr. Ellis submitted it to the judge, noting Mary's acknowledgement of her mistakes, but emphasizing her need for consistent effort. Mary read the report at home, her hands trembling. It wasn't harsh, but it was clear: change or lose visitation entirely. She called her lawyer, Carter, who sighed. "Show progress. Show up for the kids, not for optics." Mary hung up, then opened her calendar, scheduling her first supervised visit with Sophia and Lucas. The visit took place at a community center, a neutral space with a counselor present. John dropped the kids off, staying in the parking lot to give them space. Sophia clutched her sketchbook, wary, while Lucas kicked the pebble, avoiding Mary's gaze. Mary knelt, offering a board game, her voice soft. "I missed you guys." Lucas shrugged, but Sophia sat, opening the game. The counselor noted their interactions, hesitant but not hostile. Mary asked about Lucas's soccer, and he answered briefly, "It's good." Sophia showed her a drawing, and Mary praised it, her tone genuine for once. The hour ended too soon, and the kids left with John, leaving Mary staring at the empty table. Back at home, John reviewed the counselor's feedback. April 15th, 2:30 p.m., Mary engages positively but needs to build trust. He filed it, keeping his records current, not out of spite but to protect Sophia and Lucas. That evening, he took them to a Miami food truck festival, where they laughed over tacos and chased fireflies. A neighbor, spotting them, waved. "You three are a team now." John nodded, watching Lucas teach Sophia a silly dance move. The community's support was a quiet victory, a contrast to Mary's fading circle. Mary's next move came unexpectedly. She emailed John, requesting a meeting, no lawyers. He agreed, choosing a public park bench near the kids' school. Mary arrived alone, her phone tucked away, a rare sight. "I'm trying to change," she said, her voice low. "I was wrong to push you out." John studied her, unmoved but listening. "It's not about me. It's about them. Prove it to them." Mary nodded, swallowing hard. "I'm in therapy. I'll keep showing up." John stood. "Then do it. They're waiting." He walked away, leaving her to process. The following weekend, John took Sophia and Lucas to a beach cleanup, a school project they'd chosen. They filled bags with trash, laughing as Lucas raced Sophia to the next pile. A teacher, Mrs. Brennan, joined them, noting their energy. "They're different now," she told John. "More open, less guarded." John smiled, tossing a bottle into the bin. "They're finding their way." He didn't mention Mary, but Brennan's comment lingered, a sign of progress he hadn't dared hope for. Mary attended her third therapy session, admitting to Dr. Ellis, "I used Ryan to feel in control. I hurt the kids to win." The confession broke her, tears falling freely. Dr. Ellis pushed her to write letters to Sophia and Lucas, not for sending, but for clarity. Mary spent hours drafting, her words raw, unfiltered. "I failed you. I'm learning to do better." She didn't send them, but the act shifted something, a step toward accountability. At the next visitation, Mary brought a soccer ball for Lucas and a sketch pad for Sophia. Lucas kicked the ball with her, a small smile breaking through. Sophia drew beside her, sharing a pencil. The counselor's report was cautiously optimistic. April 20th, 3 p.m. Mary shows effort. Kids respond tentatively. John read it, then tucked it away. He didn't trust Mary yet, but he wouldn't block her progress. For Sophia and Lucas, he'd keep the door cracked open. The story closed on a quiet Sunday. John, Sophia, and Lucas built a sandcastle on South Beach, the waves lapping nearby. Lucas carved a moat. Sophia added seashell towers. John watched, his binder now a safeguard, not a weapon. Mary, miles away, sat with her therapist's letter, outlining steps to rebuild trust. She wasn't there yet, but she'd started walking. John glanced at his kids, their laughter carrying over the surf. He'd fought for this moment, and it was enough.